that makes everybody cry.
Yeah. And that's all I heard. That's all I heard.
Oh, yes.
You are going to watch The Notebook and you are going to bawl your eyes out. You are going to cry so hard. It is just one of the most beautiful, moving. You were just going to cry and cry and cry. My dad cried during The Notebook. My brother Justin, who I know that means nothing to any of you listening, but he's a lot like my dad. And so my brother Justin cried during The Notebook. So I sat down and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch The Notebook and I am not going to cry. And I am proud to announce I watched The Notebook and I did not cry.
And there's a real reason why you did not cry. You went into it.
I conditioned myself.
You conditioned yourself. You knew what you were going to focus on. When things happened in such a way, it's like, listen, I know that this is a part where I would naturally be drawn to cry, but I've already made the decision I am not going to cry. And so you actually were able to, in the moment, decide what you're focused on. You changed the meaning in your mind, and the action you took was not crying. So I love that about you.
There's a certain book that was going to ruin my marriage if I read it. And I set out, and this book is not going to ruin my marriage.
Yep.
And nor has it.
So that's something that is not, but there are a lot of people out there.
So yeah, I don't
fears,
know that tell me I can't do something. Please, somebody tell me I can't do something because I find great enjoyment in proving
you wrong. That's one thing I love about you. I love it. So number 4, the fourth reason why people give up on their dreams is achieving.
I'm just thinking of all of the things that I've gotten through because my dad said we would not last a year. Our marriage would not last 1 year.
Yep.
We have been married 2 years. It'll be 23 in August.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Thank you, Dad.
I'm thankful to him for those, because I'm sure that phrase from your dad got us through those first 8 years of our marriage.
They did. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So just all of the things.
Anyway,
go
ahead. Tell me what I can't do.
You tell
and
me.
And then let me show you. All right. So the fourth reason why people give up on their dreams that we've come up with, achieving dreams is hard work.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people just they just feel like they cannot handle the consistent obstacles, setbacks, and the rejection that comes from going after their dreams and having one setback after another.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is one setback after another when you just keep hitting roadblocks or you just keep tripping over yourself or, whatever it is that's standing in the way of, maybe the finish line has moved so far you can't even see it anymore. I'm tired, and it's just easier to stop here than to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's like maybe it's not meant to be. And see, this is that whole, what am I focused on? Well, gosh, I had another failed attempt. What does this mean? And a lot of people say, well, God obviously doesn't mean for this to work for me. Otherwise, he would open doors. And it seems like he's closing every single door. And this is one of those scenarios where I think that sometimes we as Christians have been taught to lay the blame at Satan's feet, or sometimes we lay the blame at God's feet. God just doesn't want this for me. He's trying to give me a message, because if he really wanted this for me, he would open the doors. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't always work out that way. And if that's the philosophy that we have, that God's just going to open up all the doors and it's going to be easy peasy, that there's not going to be obstacles. No, God says, listen, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that the first time you knock, sometimes you're going to have to knock a whole lot.
Right.
Lot. And sometimes the front door maybe wasn't the way to get in.
Rachel just said this in this chapter. She said, when the front door is closed and locked, try the side window.
Yeah.
Like, there are other ways to get in.
I was watching last night on YouTube some random videos, and Stephen Wright, the comedian, mm-hmm. he's the one that kind of talks monotone and says blah, blah, well, I wonder why they call it a freeway anyway. So he says I was born cesarean born, and so I've always had a difference in life, and one of the things I find is that something like I find my neighbors find it weird that I'm always going out the window. when I leave the house. But anyway.
That's funny.
Anyways, so the idea here is that sometimes we just have this picture in our mind that this is how we're going to live out our dream, and especially if we just read a story about somebody else who this is how it worked for them. And when it doesn't work that way for us, we think that there's this secret formula. There's this secret sauce that if you just do this, this is how it's going to happen. The thing is your dream is your dream. It's your story. You're living out your story. You're not living somebody else's story, and you don't know what it's going to take to get there. And if you give up because it's hard work, here's the thing. One thing I can tell you is that practically everyone who does something worthy of talking about, they have gone through setback after setback. Some of the most successful people financially have went bankrupt how many times?
Right.
That's a part of their story. And we don't like to focus on what life might have been like for somebody who's a multi-billionaire. But we look at their lives today and see how they live today, but we don't give much thought to how they got there. Yeah. What did they have to go through to be in a place where they could actually live up to the stress of that success today?
You see all of those quotes and stories and stuff. They show up in my Facebook feed all of the time. And one of them that I saw last week was similar in that you cannot look at someone today and say, oh, they have it made. They have it that when you don't take into account the journey that it took to get them there.
Yeah. One quote that I love that Rachel Hollis is bringing out time and time again in her book. This is a quote that we've heard through Tony Robbins and everybody else as well. And that is, you have to see this. Life is happening for you. It's not happening to you. Mm-mm. And when you think about all of the experience, people ask me, Cliff, if you could go back and change anything you wanted in the first year of your business, because we've often shared how difficult our first year of business was. I was working 14 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, didn't take a day off for the first 9 months. At the end of the first year, we made $11,000 personal income, net personal income. And in January 2009, after my first year in business, I landed myself in the hospital and I almost died. So people say, Cliff, gosh, you must have learned some things by now that you could go back and change. And I tell people, I would not change anything. It's all of the stupid mistakes that I made, all of the setbacks, all of the obstacles. I grew through every single failure.
Every stone laid the path to where I am now.
And those things didn't happen to me. They happened for me. They laid I love the stones were all helping set a solid foundation for me to build on the success that I have today.